Okay, please.
Okay. Why did you decide to be a naturopathic doctor?
Um, so I was, let's see, I was struck with a realization that I was to be a doctor, and it was like a bolt of lightning hit me. That's no kidding. I
Wow.
was so I had been turned on to nutrition and to the principles and philosophy of naturopathic medicine for several years and living it as well as I could and really just passionate about it. And I was working as a carpenter in Southern California. I went to a chiropractor and I was laying on his table after having an adjustment. And he looked down at me and he said, "Charley, did you ever think about becoming a doctor?" And in that exact moment, I was a doctor.
You're like,
I,
yes, yes, I have actually.
I went home. That was it. I was a doctor. I went home and I was obsessed with this. And I stayed up the entire night and in the living room floor, contemplating. I couldn't think about anything else. How could I be a doctor? I don't see how I can do this and how I can pull it off. I was only, I don't know, 27, 28 or something like that at the time, I could think, somewhere around there. And I, uh, I ended up going out on the pier at San Clemente, California, where I grew up. I went out on the pier at about 3:30 in the morning, and I stood out there with my arms out like this in the end of the pier, and opened my heart and prayed to God and said, "If you make me a doctor, I promise you that I will teach this wisdom that you have given me." And that's what I want to do.
Oh,
And and then I went home when everybody got up the next morning. It was Sunday morning. And we went out to family breakfast, and I informed everybody that I was going to be a doctor. And I began my life course that direction. And I had never heard of a naturopathic doctor, but again, through, I mean, my path, the events that unfolded that led me to, at that time, NCNM in Wichita, Kansas, the events that unfolded to bring me there were equally unexplicable, um, yeah, miraculous.
like you were being guided. Like,
Yeah, I didn't even know what a naturopathic doctor was at the time of this revelation to me, but I was led to it and found it.
that's
Uh,
amazing. I have a question that's off script, but do you feel like you fulfilled your promise that you made when you stood out there like the Titanic guy?
yeah, exactly. That's just how it was. I never thought of that before.
I know when you said that, I was like, oh, like Titanic. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. Um, do I feel like I've fulfilled it? Yeah. I'm not done doing what I'm going to do.
No, not by any means.
Have I been true to it? Yeah, and it's the same thing. I I've been true to it, and it has taken, as much as any other doctor puts into their profession, right? Like a lot,
Yeah.
and especially walking this path, and and in the same way, uh, this path has carried me, right? Yeah, I have I have been repeatedly um, guided, and so that the work that I do today, I could not have even envisioned it when I graduated from school.
That's amazing. So how long have you been in practice? How many years?
40.
Oh my gosh, you have 40 years of practice under your belt.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Okay, so favorite patient experience in your 40 years?
Favorite patient experience? Gosh, I have so many and all the time. Um,
Just one that like really sticks out to you.
mm, well, one that comes to mind was a woman who came to me with the diagnosis of POTS, P-O-T-S. Are you familiar with it?
Yep.
Okay. I think it's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, gosh, let's see if I can make a synopsis of this, being that this is a woman I saw, I don't know, I'll say 7 years ago or something like that. And really, she's just one of many cases that are very similar. I just happen to be talking about her. I did my workup with her, and my workup is one of diagnosing. I look at the behavioral causes of illness, and I look at the way my patients eat, that they move, that they think, and that they relate. Those are the 4 behaviors that I investigate. And so further, in this woman, there was a story of relationship and emotion, and I'm not remembering the exact details, but there was, I think her father had a heart attack, almost died. She was quite emotionally afflicted and suffering with this, and came home after spending some time with him, and then ran a moderate race, maybe a 10K race or so. And after that, had an experience of her heart racing uncontrollably, becoming extremely weak, not being able to, having to stop and lay down and couldn't function. And this started recurring more frequently with less exertion. And she had workups at Mayo Clinic, for among others, and came to me. And again, in my analysis, I broke it down into that the emotions were a strong part of it, the relationships were a strong part of it, movement's a strong part because she really can't exert herself at all, and that her eating, of course, is part of it. So I also discovered in going through it how strongly aggravated this condition was during her premenstrual time. So I had a program, was working with her. Gosh, we worked together, I'm gonna guess, a year and a half, maybe even 2 years. We kept discovering and understanding the causes under her control in her behavior that were influencing what was taking place with her POTS syndrome. And she was improving, and she was, I'm going to estimate, 80% improved, and a really good student. We were very close. And then she started reading about Lyme disease, and went and got worked up, and has to be that she had the evidence of Lyme disease in her different titers. So she I don't. This is a point of balance. I am keenly interested in anything be it antibiotic therapy, in any kind of therapy, I am adverse to nothing used properly within the context of naturopathic medicine. Right. And I'm already proving, or we are already proving out the efficacy of what we're doing here, right? So we talked about it, and she really wanted to do this, and she went and began an extended course of antibiotics blended with different herbal regimens, prescriptions, and she wanted to do this and see what it would do, and I saw her with much less frequency following that, but did see her several times, and her health. She thought it was effective for a period of time, possibly as much as a year. And then I looked at her, and she was bloated. She was gaining weight. I can't say that her full-blown symptoms were recurring, but her health was declining. And towards the last time that I saw her, she was, she felt that she was beginning to feel that she had made a mistake. However, she did not return to me, and I haven't had the opportunity to follow it up. But I loved her very much, and I don't even know why I picked her case, because I could pick cases of most everything except cancer, and with the same results. And I do not like to mislead people about the power of what I do and what I can produce, the healing that can happen for patients, or that does happen clinically. Any illness, I mentioned cancer. My success with cancer is, well, first of all, it's difficult to, or used to be difficult to find patients who weren't also involved with either surgery, chemo, or radiation. And so it's hard to assess the effectiveness of what you're doing when that's taking place.
Right.
So that is a part of it. But I don't have a basis for a proven confidence with cancer. I don't approach cancer like I do lots of other illnesses. And I don't want to expand on that particularly. But what I'm saying is that any severe illness, or any illness that is of a severe level, I don't care if it's ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, anything, it's hard to heal. And very few people bring it about. And so that's, I don't know, that's something of what I have to say.
Okay. That's beautiful. Thank you. What is your favorite part of practice? What's your favorite part of being a naturopath?
1 second. Somebody's knocking on my door. I'll be right back.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, ready for one of these? You go ahead and use the services.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm back. What's my favorite part of practice?
Yeah.
It is unquestionably, well, yeah, it is the experience of my patients understanding and being inspired about the teachings, I would say. I mean, I really like to see people get well, but to me, getting well is understanding and being inspired. It's, yeah, that is the healing that needs, that when that's in place, people then do the things that are intelligent, meaning consistent with their understanding, and they do it with a passion, and they get well. and actually some of them don't get well, or yeah, I'm going to say that some of them don't get well. No, I won't say that. They don't resolve to the degree that I hope and they hope their clinical symptoms. But that's, you know, that's not very often that happens. And usually so when someone understands and is enthused, their behavior changes markedly and their symptoms change markedly.
Yeah, so it almost sounds like your favorite part of being in practice is really the docere aspect of doctor as teacher and really educating your patients so you can empower them.
That's the only thing I do.
Yeah.
I don't do anything else.
All right. I like it. I was like, this is what I'm gathering, is you're just really teaching
Yeah.
your
You
patients.
hit it spot on, sister.
Got
Yeah.
you. I love
That's what I love. That's what I love. I teach exclusively.
Oh, I love
And I have, I could say a love for it, just isn't the same intensity, but a love, a respect, and honoring of all other aspects of naturopathic medicine. I used to love, I was a primary care doc for about 20 years.
Oh my God, bless you.
Naturopathic medicine. And I just, as I say, my path has led me, this is what I love. And within the teaching, while I like to teach people nutrition and I like to teach them movement and teach in that sense, it is the intimacy between myself and my patients, my intimacy with my patients. That's what I love the most. That's what I live for in my own self, is to be as honest with myself as I can, and to grow my passion for my own healing power and our healing power. That's the core of my life, and having that with my patients, where I'm going to that vulnerable place with them, where they're facing personal challenges that they don't know how to face, that are completely daunting to them. That may be, well, it's some form of addiction or compulsion or habit that is harming to them in each of these behaviors, and finding the power to heal that, which there's only one power that heals anything. We call it vis, right? Finding that miraculous thing that lives in us and as us is not just the nature of nature. It is the nature of me personally, of all of us, and finding that wise goodness and that love, and allowing that to transform our actions and thereby transform our illness. That's the work.
Sounds like the collective consciousness.
What do you mean by the collective consciousness?
It's like the thing that unites all of us, right? It's not just like your eyes, personal vis. It's like, it's everything. It's what connects us, what energetically binds us.
And that is, you're spot on, and that is discoverable in ourselves. And it is the first session that I do with my patients, is to ask them and go through a process with them. What do you desire most in life? And what is it that you fear most? And that isn't like, oh, I fear drowning, or, it is, what is that thing? And I don't ask them that, but is in our collective consciousness that is human, right? And so if you look at it, you pick out anything you want, and if whatever you pick out, if you get that and you lose your physical health, Is that a win for you? Well, some people, that can be. But what if you lose your mental, emotional health so that you're anxious or depressed or sad or whatever it is, and you get whatever else? Is that a win for you? No. What if you lose what if you suffer in your relationships in all the ways, in divorce, in misunderstanding and being whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Every human being wants health in their body, their mind, and their relationships above all else. Like, you lose that and you've lost the most precious.
Right. It's
and
like
in the same way, what do we fear? Well, obviously, we fear disease and suffering, or pain and suffering in our body, our mind, and our relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our core as human beings. That's the collective consciousness. And in what universe would it be that we are made to have our greatest longing and our greatest fear, like no hope of attaining our greatest longing and no hope of escaping our greatest fear? That's bullshit. The universe is designed specifically to heal that. We have that power to fulfill the good that we want to do and escape the horror that we want to escape.
I totally agree.
And that's what human beings want most. That's what I want the most. And that's the work that we get down to doing. And naturopathic medicine provides the model that says, let's start out here and let's just look at what is the nature of disease, right?
Yeah.
And the 180-degree difference between us and conventional medicine is that we say that illness is wise and purposeful, and that it comes to us to serve our lives, to rescue us from our ignorance and our misery by showing us how the ways in which we contribute to it and how to heal ourselves. And so then we get to that our illness is a message to us about our behavior. Right. Not that that's the only thing. There can be genetic causes and infectious causes, but in my work, this is what I'm focusing on. And largely, naturopathic medicine, without excluding anything else, has this is our philosophy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we look at these 4 behaviors, and then our patients need to be educated as a doctor in these behaviors. And to do that education, basically you're analyzing the behaviors and saying, this is what's working for you, this is what's harming you. And so we need to bring about the healing of your behavior. And in that, we come back to what I spoke of before, that we're owned by our habits. We're terrified of them. And that is our challenge. And that is, I believe, the missing link in medicine is finding the power to heal our behavior, right? If we don't find that, we're just left with medicine.
Yeah.
We aren't fundamentally changing our patients. We can give them information, here, go do a paleo diet, or here, get more exercise, and all the instruction there that you want. But we are unable, if we let go the power to do what they previously were not capable of doing, we're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah, they're just stagnant.
Yeah, and that power there is 2 things. That power is, you could say it's the power of love. In naturopathic medicine, you go to Henry Lindlar, and the 3 causes of disease in the tree of toxemia are ignorance, indifference, and lack of self-control. Ignorance is of what? Ignorance is of the truth, but ignorance is of, as we said, what's the nature of disease? Ignorance is of the causes of disease. Ignorance is of the power to be able to heal those causes. And that power is in ourself. So it's ignorance of our own self,
Right.
Of our own power, and of how we are using our own power against ourselves. And indifference is just a lack of passion, which is a lack of love, a lack of caring, a lack of compassion, lack of kindness, whatever you want to say, that we are not, our love for ourselves gets squandered because we're told we have no power to change our illnesses, right?
Right.
But when you say, no, you alone have the power to change your illness, and that power is the love that you have for health and happiness. That is your power. That is the only power. There's not some other power that's going to come to you. You can care about your own self and begin this investigation into what is causing you to do what's harmful to you and to not do what's beneficial to you. And you can do that investigation as an act of compassion, because it is an act of compassion, because you love yourself and know that you need to understand yourself and find these answers if you are to be well. And in that, it's the common human path that we all face, and it's fucking great.
I wish we had started sooner. So I actually have another call that I need to be on 3 minutes ago, because, that's just how it is. But I do want to ask.
That's how it is.
I know. I'm just like, here we are scheduling. So I'm like, we just got into the juicy stuff, and now I have to tell you I have to go. That just kills me. I was like, I don't want to get you off your soapbox at all, but I'm going to make the assumption that you're very successful in practice, because 40 years being in practice and then wanting to continue practice, I can't say you would do that if you were lacking success. So my last question to you would be, why do you think you are so successful in practice?
Well, here's the thing. Depending on how you define success, but I'm interpreting this to mean financially successful in practice. And I would say that I have not been financially successful in practice, nor have I had a practice that is in which, we'll say, with a waiting line to it. Usually you can get in to see me. That's been so throughout my career. I have struggled with finances throughout my career. I have not been able to, despite working at it diligently through my life, bring about a practice that I feel gives me the financial success that I want. And I want young doctors to know that and I would do this again and again without the financial success, because of this. And actually currently I am enjoying much more financial success, and in a way, I'm not sure how to explain that. I am easily 100 times as good now as I was when I began. But I don't, that has something to do with it. But always through my career, my confidence in my ability to help people has been at 99%, or 110%, and I've always been completely honest. If I don't feel that I'm helping someone or can, I have very honest conversations about it. But that's me.
I love that. And that's interesting that you say it depends on how you define success, because in my mind, I think of success as being happy in your job, because you spend so much of your life doing what you do, and finding happiness and finding fulfillment in your work. Because I know when I was looking at where I wanted to go to school, I did not want to be a doctor. That was something I knew for sure. And when I saw naturopathic medicine as an option, I saw that there was job satisfaction. And that to me meant more to me than coming home with a paycheck. It meant that I was going to come home with a smile on my face, regardless of whether or not I had lights to come home to. It meant more to me to be happy. And that's really where, listening to you talk about your patients, I feel like if I were to define success, I think you are very successful in terms of feeling fulfilled with what you're doing with your profession.
Oh, in that regard, I am grateful to my toenails. I must add, in my case, I not only didn't value money when I started out. Money has been for me something that I have given attention to only when forced to. It has not been a natural interest of mine at all. I began my practice seeing patients on a donation basis. They pay me whatever they want. I have changed that significantly over the years, but still in business itself, it has only recently really had any interest to me. It has not had interest to me, and I pay attention to it like most people do their illnesses, only when it bites me in the ass, right?
Yeah.
You have to, and then I go, okay, I guess I got to learn about this. So another doctor with my skills, oh my God, there's so many ways I could have been more financially successful.
Yeah. Well, I wish financial success on you, but I'm really glad that you're smiling doing what you do, because I appreciate you. And I wish we had more time to talk. Maybe we get on email and figure out another time, but it was so great to speak with you. And I am excited to get all this up on the website. It'll all be approved through Rick first. So he's going to sift through all the stuff and say whether or not it's, marketable or not marketable, because that's his jam. Yeah. We'll move forward from here, but it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
And will you send me a copy of this?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Piper, thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. You have a great rest of your day, okay?
Thank you. Bye, dear.
Bye.